Hello, hello. It is Tara here. I just want to take a moment of the day to come on and do a live. Not a live, actually. I can't do a live because I'm on my mobile device and I'm not qualified for a live. But I just thought I'd come on here and do a quick discussion to kind of talk a little bit about the current energy that I've been in lately. I'm out in this beautiful nature and just taking it all in and embracing. After having an epiphany yesterday, that kind of got me thinking about some things. In this life, we all go through so many things, so many things. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And one of the things that I'm realizing more than ever is how we really have to just pull ourselves together and realize that our past does not define our future, nor does our future define our current state. We have to live in the moment of the now, because that's the only thing that we can do to be able to truly, fully live and be ourselves in our happiest mind states, in our most neutral, I shouldn't even say happy, because when I say happy, when you're, okay, like there's a song even that says this, when you're trying to stay high, then you're bound to stay low. You want a God, but you can't deflate your ego. That is exactly what it is. We can't always be seeking a high. We can't always be seeking something outside of us. We have to realize that what we seek is really something that's found within. And there's so much beauty within ourselves that we are bound to find. It's just a matter of having the transparency of all that is to see underneath the veils and see beyond the lies that we are fed by our feds, that we're fed by the governments and by the systems and by the television programming and by all of the things that try to distract us in this world and society. We have to realize that there's beauty beyond that. There's beauty within ourselves. And I'm going to touch on a topic that I kind of wanted to speak on, because this is what that epiphany kind of, I guess I could say, the thing that struck a chord with me so heavy yesterday was to do with when I was 20 years old. And by the way, this is not something that defines me by any way. But when I was 20 years old, I worked at this job. And I befriended a supervisor that was not my supervisor directly, but he supervised over other people. He seemed so nice, and he was someone I called a friend. Being young and a little oblivious and naive and, I don't know, a little more trusting than maybe I should have been. One day we were all getting off work early. It was a night shift. We got off in the morning time, like 3:15 normally. We were going to get off early, around like 11, 10 o'clock, I don't know, sometime around that time. And everyone was talking about how they wanted to make plans and do things. I was only 20, so I couldn't really go out and do much. So I really kind of just shied away, and I didn't really impose or try to put myself on anyone to invite me. But what happened was really strange. Instead of me going home and just doing my own thing, even possibly just hanging out with some friends that I had that I would spend a lot of time with, the supervisor that I was thinking I was friends with approached me with an option. He told me that I could go with him to this club that he goes to sometimes. And everyone was really cool. He could get me in, he would get me a drink, and we'd smoke a little bit of weed. At the time, the job I was doing, I couldn't really smoke, so I really hadn't smoked in a long time. So with him being a supervisor, I thought, it'll be okay. I'll just do it. He's a friend. I went out with him. He picked me up at my apartment. All he had was roaches, so somehow we concocted something together and smoked a little bit on the way there. We pull up to this club in the hood, I'll say, of Kentucky, like Lexington. But yeah, we pulled up to this club. It's a biker club, and I'm like, okay, you know, me being the way I am, I'm completely open and I'm just thinking it's all in good fun. It's all going to be a good time. We walk up to the doors to get in. I was a little nervous. I was only 20. I see a sign that says that this club is 25 and older. I knew I didn't belong there. I was a little scared, but instead I continued on. The guys at the door were older, two gentlemen. No, I'm not going to call them gentlemen, actually. They were two men. And they had no problem at all allowing me to enter. And they had this joint, and they lit it up, passed it to me, passed it around, came back to me, and then all of a sudden this cop comes out of nowhere, and I throw this joint down because I'm nervous, thinking that I'm going to get caught smoking at this club, and I'm not even old enough to be at the club to begin with, so I'm nervous out of my mind. The cop leaves, the situation disintegrates. Me and this guy go into the club, the guy I was with, the supervisor guy. And when we enter the club, he asked me if he can get me a drink. And I said, yeah. And being naive and young once again, which I'm not saying is my only defense and excuse, but what can I say? I grew up in an area with that was kind of sheltered, a protective family, even though we had our own demons that lurked inside. The outside didn't really affect us. But so, being the naive person that I was, I just took the drink and I sipped it and I tasted. All of a sudden, moments later, I was completely out of it. So out of it that this man was physically supporting me to walk through the club. All I remember are blurs of faces here and there. Everything went blank. The next memory I have is being leaned up against his Lincoln Navigator with men all surrounding in a hurdle as if someone's fighting in the mix of the crowd, but it wasn't a fight. Instead, it was me. I was the show. I was the person on display. And it wasn't a show that I wanted to be the main character of. These men were touching me and doing things that were out of my control, and I couldn't stop them because I was weak and my mind was empty of delusion and delirium. The next thing I know, I'm in the expedition holding my vagina, asking him not to touch me and asking him to stop. He wouldn't stop. At that point, my soul left my body and the rest is history. This story does not define me. However, yesterday, the epiphany that I had was looking back and thinking about all of this happening when I went to the court hearings, and I did press charges, I did the rape kit, I did everything. He got off on some probation, but he ended up breaking it and had to go to jail for a little bit, but that's besides the point. But this man's name is what the epiphany sourced from yesterday when I was thinking. His first name I won't disclose, but his middle name on all of his legal documents that I was involved in was Lucifer. This man took my virginity. He stole the last bit of purity that I had felt within myself. Not to say that I had never seen bad things in my life, because I had, but this man was evil. And he taught me not to trust people the way that I wanted to and the way I always had. He taught me that I had to guard and protect myself more than I ever had before. But what he taught me the most is to see my true divinity and God's source within myself. Because I know that I am here for a higher purpose. And the fact that someone of such an evil nature that would be named Lucifer himself was the person to deflower me, as some would say. I feel like that's a message that needed to be said. And I see the beauty in it now. I don't see the pain. I don't see the hurt. I don't see the heartache. Because I know that I was sent here to shine my light. Because no matter what we go through in this world, in this life, we are capable of overcoming it and being the best versions of ourselves. We don't run from our fear. Instead, we face it head on. We let it go through us to where we can feel it and we can conquer it. And in return, we become these brave individuals that are fearless and able to conquer the world. I will spread my message of love to the world. I feel it to my core. And I'm starting now, moving forward and never looking back, because I am here to shine my light. Thank you to anyone that took the time to watch this video. This is just something I really wanted to get off my chest because I feel like there's a connection and significance to this story of my youth. And now, 13 years later, almost exactly, because I was almost 21, I share my message with you, not as a victim, but as a survivor that is thriving now, because I see the beauty in pain, and I do not let it define me by name. Sending love to all. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. Om.